Hello and welcome to In Stitches. I finally decided to get into the new Millennium. I've purchased a brand new Pfaff Quilt Expression 720. And yep, 22 years too late for the new Millennium, but I made it eventually. Yeah, I just thought I'd do a video showing you why I bought this machine. I have many different makes and models available to me as a dealer. If you don't know, I run a business called In Stitches. I do sewing machine repair, but I also sell sewing machines as well. So yeah, you know, I have a lot of brands available to me, and the Pfaff is the one that I chose, and I'll go through the reasons why. Now you can jump straight to the main subject if you don't want to hear me waffle on. I've put chapters down on the timeline down below here, so you can jump straight to whatever you want to see in the video. But if you want to hear me just ramble on a little bit, I'll tell you why I upgraded to this machine and what I'm upgrading from. This is my beautiful little featherweight 222K. This is the machine that I use most of the time. It does a beautiful straight stitch, and if anyone's used one, they'll know that they're very smooth and beautiful to use. And I use this for making shirts. I made this shirt here just recently on this machine mainly, except for the buttonholes. I don't do the buttonholes obviously because this is just straight stitch. But I love turning up to, if I do a class or if I'm at a show, I like to take this machine along. And you know, for quilting, it's, you know, it was made for quilting pretty much. It does a really nice job, especially for piecing together of, you know, like two pieces of fabric. If you've got two pieces of fabric here, when you're piecing with a quilt, you want the, right at the end here, when you've sewn down here, you want these two ends here to be even. And that's the beauty of this machine, is you get hardly any ply shift. Now, ply shift is where a sewing machine will naturally feed the bottom layer, and the presser foot will be pushing on top of the top layer, and you'll tend to get a little bit of creep. So the top layer might come towards you a little bit like that. So if you look underneath, you'll see this sort of thing. That's exaggerated, but that can happen. But this machine here, you hardly get any ply shift. You get zero ply shift with this machine. They're amazing. So, you know, if you're coming down here, you don't even have to pin. I know that's a little bit naughty, but you don't have to pin this. You can just put it straight through the machine, and you'll be guaranteed that when you get to the end here, you'll have a nice even end here where the two plies there match perfectly. And that's what I really like about this machine. There's not a lot of room in the throat here, of course, so a little bit hard for, you know, quilting, large quilts, things like that, but a really nice machine. You know, because I repair sewing machines, I come across a lot of machines out and about, and I keep some of them for my collection, and this is one of them, and it just happens to be one of the ones that I really love to use. I do have a lot of other machines as well apart from this one, but this just happens to be the one that I really like. And you know, you would have seen a lot of the other machines on my previous videos. Most of those are my machines that I show in the videos. Some of them are customer machines that I might come across and think, you know, that would make a good video if it's a repair video, or if I just want to show it off. So, you know, this is one of the collection, but one of my favorites. And if I'm doing buttonholes or anything like that, let's put that one out of the way there. If I'm doing zigzags or buttonhole, things like that, I grab my trusty Elna SU Supermatic, Star Series Supermatic, and these do brilliant buttonholes, absolutely beautiful buttonholes, and I've done a video on that. I'll link it in the description if you want to have a look at that. But yeah, these do a very nice job. 1970s, I think this is, early 70s, still going strong. And another one of the, probably one of my favorite machines. Sometimes I'll take some of these machines along to shows. I go to quilt shows sometimes, I set up a little stand there, and I take these machines along and I set them up as display pieces really, and I might have a machine in pieces that I'm repairing just so that people can come along and see what I'm up to. But Yep, as I say, I've decided to get into the new millennium here. This is the machine for me, and I just want to say also that this in no way is a paid promotion. I paid for this machine with my own money, so yep, just so you know. Okay, so I've plugged the machine in here. It uses a standard figure 8 IEC cable, fairly common power cable, and nice generous foot controller, very large foot controller. You don't have to use foot controller. There's a start stop button here, but you can use either. Just a wee look around the machine. We've got a full color display here. Now there's also a 710 model. It doesn't have as many features as this one. We won't go through too much of that today, but I'll just give you a quick look at what I like about the machine. This comes with it. It's not optional, but you can plug it in or not. It's the knee lifter, electronic knee lifter. The big feature for me is the top feed, the IDT top feed. I'll show you that in a second. But as far as the arm, the area to the right of the needle, under the arm there, you're looking at just under 10 inches. It's officially 250 millimeters. So a decent amount of space there. Get your quilt in under here. So here we have the Little Singer as a comparison. God bless its soul. What do we got under the arm here? 5 inches. 5 inches under the arm. But you know, yeah, not a lot of room for a quilt, is it? But you know, people use them and get away with using them. I've made a quilt on it. You know, granted, it wasn't a massive quilt. It was more like a knee type throw quilt, and yeah, it was perfectly fine. But you know, you get into the bigger quilts, you might struggle a little bit with this. Although it looks very good, might not be quite as practical. Just before I remove the accessory tray here, there's a nice curve to the arm, to the bed here. So any work will sort of flow up the front here and onto the bed nicely there. There you go, you can see the end on there. It's got a nice curvature there. So a nice wide bed as well, or deep, whichever way you want to look at it. The accessory tray just pops off like so. We've got our free arm here. I'll show you the accessories that come with it later. But as far as I'm concerned, the star of the show is the IDT. Get you in here close to have a look at the IDT system. Now the IDT is a dual feed system, and that's what this funny looking claw is here at the back of the machine. Now Pfaff have been doing this for many decades, and it's a tried and proven technology. The reason I like it is because it's elegant. There's no sort of bulky top feed or even feed foot to have to attach. They can be a little bit difficult to attach sometimes. But if I just unclip the foot here, these are just a clip-on presser foot here. We'll get a closer look at the IDT. And if I engage the IDT here, you can see that the IDT there has a set of teeth. If I get something white in behind there just for a little bit of contrast, you might be able to see there that the IDT has it's a top feed dog effectively, and it works in unison with the lower feed dog. Okay, I've just powered the machine on there, and I think we're set to a straight stitch by default there. Now you can see those feed, the lower and the upper feed, working in unison there. Now the foot's lifted at the moment. Okay, so the presser foot's up at the moment. Now to demonstrate this properly, I need to put the foot and the presser foot sole back on here, and you'll notice that the presser feet have got this cutout at the back just behind the needle. So you can see that slot there is where the IDT system goes down into that little slot there. So it's pulling the fabric through from directly behind the needle. So I'll just clip this back on here, like so, and you'll see the motion of it. I'll leave the needle unthreaded in the meantime, but this will just give you an idea. I'll just come around a little bit more there. Okay, so just sort of looking from the back quarter here, and you'll see the action. So there's the feed dog coming up, the needle's in the work, feed dog's coming forward, coming down, clamping onto the lower feed dog and pulling the fabric through like so. And that's very, very good for piecing. You know, there's no ply shift at all when you're piecing, so potentially you could get away with not pinning, and of course for actually quilting your quilt, it's ideal. So to disengage there, you just pull it like that and it flips up out of the way. Really nice, elegant solution. And that's engaged again, easy as that. And when it's disengaged, you know, it's just floating up the back here. It's doing its thing, but it's not actually driving on the material. You know, it just sits out the back, right out of the way there. And if you want to engage it, you can just easily just raise the foot there, and away you go. Nice and easy. That to me is a very, very good feature, very elegant. There's no need to replace the ankle here, you know, take this whole kit and caboodle off. You don't need to do that. You've got everything you need right here. So, you know, some of those other walking foot or top feed mechanisms are a little bit clumsy, a bit difficult to sometimes get onto the presser bar shaft, and then you've got that drive lever that has to sit over the top of the, you know, the needle bar clamp here. So, you know, they can be a little bit fiddly, but this is a brilliant solution. So that's probably the big selling feature for me. One of them. There are quite a few in this machine, and I won't get the chance to go through absolutely everything today, but I'll give you a quick overview. I'll quickly thread it up. As I say, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm really just showing you some of the features today, but I'll show you. I mean, it's pretty quick and easy to thread. It's not too out of the way of a modern machine, really. It's, you know, fairly straightforward there. Come around the take up, back down, and it's just a manual needle threader. Just like so. The bobbin's pretty easy to thread. It's a jam-proof hook as well. It's a Pfaff technology, so you know you're pretty well guaranteed to get no jamming, no thread jamming in the hook there. So just a drop-in style. Again, I'm not going to go too far through explaining this, but basically you just come around like that, slide the plate back on. There's no need to draw up your bobbin thread, it's just ready to go there. Okay. So when you see me raising and lowering the foot, that's these buttons here. We've got a start-stop button here. That's a tie-off button, needle up, down, and it remembers the setting. Thread trimmer, I won't go through these two at this stage. So we're just set to do a straight stitch there. I've got the IDT enabled at the back here. Now you'll notice that it's very responsive. I'll show you in a second, but I'm not a big fan of those machines that have the soft start where you put your foot down and it slowly takes off, even if you've got your foot flat to the floor, slowly takes off. I'm not a big fan. I like, when I put my foot down, I like it to go like that. Takes off at full speed straight away. Oh, fairly well straight away anyway. Okay, big fan of that. And if I choose the needle down option there, you'll note that the foot slightly lifted there. Now that's the pivot function. Every time the machine stops, or you take your foot off the foot controller or you hit the stop button, this foot just lifts enough. See, it's up there slightly. It's not at its full height. It's really only just for pivoting like that. So you can pivot the material, and then just, you'll notice the needle's down, so you know you can just pivot as you would. When you put your foot on the foot controller to go, the press foot drops and away it goes. And then pivot again. Really nice little feature. Nice control. Slowest speed. That's the slowest speed there. Really nice control there. That thread's come out from that little guide there. Oops, did I not thread that properly? There we go. Sorry, I may not have threaded it properly in behind there. Just missed that little guide there. So nice and controllable. And when you finish your seam, you can just hit the thread cutter and trims the thread, and it's ready for another seam there. You don't have to put the press foot down, you can just put your foot on the foot controller and away you go. Just like that. Tie off, just hit the tie off button and then hit the thread trimmer. There's options for the tie off. You can program it to tie off and trim, or you can just program it to tie off and not trim. And yeah, that's sort of more in-depth functions there. I thought I'd just quickly show you the stitch selection and the fact that it's got a 9mm stitch width. It comes with a little stylus for using the panel here. You don't have to use a stylus. It does respond to a finger touch, but the stylus is a little bit more accurate. If you want to just, you know, there's your standard stitches. So this menu here just brings up. So we've got essential stitches there. If you go down to 1.2, that's overcast. Buttonholes 1.3, 1.4 eyelets and bar tacks. Hand look stitches is 2.1, 2.2 stippling stitches. Crazy patch stitches 2.3, more of those. Cross stitches 3.1, more of those. Needlework stitches. There's more than 400 stitches, and so quite a lot of option there. Antique hand embroidery 3.3. There's more. Scallop edges 4.1, more. Satin elements, so satin stitching 4.2. Borders 4.3, more borders. Leaves and flowers 5.1, 5.1, more leaves and flowers. Art stitches 5.2, more of those. Ornamental stitches 5.3, more of those. Maxi art, I'll show you that in a second. Pretty neat. 6.1, bows and hearts. 6.2, animals. Fun stitches 6.3. 7.2, Maxi 2, monogramming, so monograms there. More monograms. Ribbon stitches, that's another feature. I won't go through that today, but it does help you do ribbon stitches. And stacking stitches, I'll explain that. I might do another video for some of these more advanced features. So yeah, if you really want to look at what these other stitches are before I do get around to making those videos, you can download the manual actually from pfaff.com. Just look for the Quilt Expression 720, and you look through the manual, you can see what the stacking stitches is and the ribbon stitches, things like that. Floating stitches also. Optional feet stitches. 4 direction sewing, so that's another big feature with this machine. The feed dogs on this machine not only feed forward or back, they feed sideways as well, so you can do these large square, or you know, those maxi stitches I showed you before. It's pretty handy. And personal menu, so I've saved a couple in here. So I've saved a longer straight stitch there for top stitching, and a standard stitch there just for, you know, construction. And there's 3 menus, I think, for storing your personal created stitches in there, because you can create your own stitches. So what I was going to show you before I got sidetracked with all the stitches there is the zigzag here. So we've got width here, we can just increase that that's 9mm stitch width there, and 3mm stitch length. This one here is your tension. Okay, so let's get you down for a closer look at that. Okay, just try the blue here. It might come out on the camera a little bit better, a bit more contrast. I've increased the stitch length to the largest stitch length as well. Looks very nice on top there, and very nice underneath as well. So that was another thing that really impressed me, is the, on the widest stitch here, we've got very consistent tension on the top and the bottom. That's a 9mm stitch width there, and that's 12mm long. Right, got you in pretty close here because I wanted to show you the needle positions. So you've got the center position there, and you can increment each position. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 9, 18. And then you've got 18 the other way as well. So if we get back to center, that's 18 in this direction as well. So we've got 37 stitch positions, or needle positions there, including center. You've got 18 either side of center. So, lots of flexibility there. I wanted to show you Maxi stitches next, and to do the Maxi stitches we need foot 8. That's foot 8 there. And while I'm here, I'll show you the accessories that come with the machine. We've got a few bobbins with a bobbin tray there, and the bobbin tray is pretty handy. It's sort of rubberized, and it holds the bobbins in nicely there and stops them from unraveling there. So you can, you can trim off your thread, and your bobbin threads are nicely held in position there. They won't unravel. We've also got this is a satin stitching wide foot there. This is the zipper foot there, and you can also use that to sew buttons on. We've got the 1/4 inch foot there, nice little 1/4 inch foot. We've got the free motion darning embroidery foot there. We've got a manual buttonhole foot, so you can do manual buttonholes up to 15mm, I think. I have to check the manual on that. We've got another foot here for, that's the satin stitching with the IDT cut out at the back there. And we've also got a blind hemming foot, I think that one is, or is it overcasting? I'll have to check the manual. I'll check that in a second. That's got the cutout at the back there for the IDT as well. Sits on that way there. And in here we've got the automatic buttonhole foot. Automatic, so once you set the length of your buttonhole with the first buttonhole you do, this here detects and will give you a consistent length of buttonhole after that first buttonhole has been programmed in. So all of your buttonholes come out the same size. They're really handy. We've just got the requisite spool caps there. This little doodad here for sewing up and onto and coming off of lumps and bumps. If you're doing jeans and you're coming up onto a heavy seam, you can slot this under the foot to hold the foot up, stitch forward, and then get until the foot comes off the seam, and then you just remove this. I've shown that in another video on one of the older machines actually. And it's also got a handy little hole here where you can insert your needle in there, and then you can use that as a needle inserter here. It's a little bit easier to get to rather than trying to get under here to insert the needle by hand. It's handy. Spare needles, ranging embroidery, jeans, stretch, wing and universals. Got a little sock there for the spool, just in case the spool's unraveling on you. Just a small spool cap. unpicker, a little cleaning brush, screwdriver, and a little cleaning rag for the screen, and a quilting guide there as well. And we've got a straight stitch foot as well, which is ideal for quilting piecework. Just while I'm on the subject of spool caps, this here can actually you know, go into the vertical mode as well, so pretty handy. You can also wind a bobbin whilst you're sewing. Bobbin winder over there. Nice clean threading paths there. Okay, just wanted to show you the Maxi stitches. I might have got sidetracked there. So we go to the stitch selection menu and we go to number 5, Maxi Art there, and I'll show you this one here. Okay, we've got all sorts of options here. I'm just going to leave those as default at this stage. There's lots of things you can change here. Won't go through that in this video. But yeah, keep an eye out for more videos on some of these more in-depth subjects. Okay, we just need to swap the foot over. Now you'll notice that this foot has the cutout for the IDT, the Maxi Art foot, or this, it's a foot that's specially designed for the sideways feeding. You can see there the feed dogs. They not only feed forward and back, they feed sideways as well. I might have mentioned that. So you know, it's a little bit different to an embroidery machine. With embroidery, you know, either hand guide the material if it's free motion, or if it's an embroidery machine, which this is not, the fabric is clamped in a hoop and the hoop drives the pattern. Well, this is completely different. The feed dogs are actually doing the feeding of the directional sewing. You'll see in a second. That foot, standard foot's got a cutout. This one doesn't have it, so we have to disengage the IDT system there, nice and easy. And we just pop that foot on there, and we're ready to sew the Maxi Art that we've selected there. You can either put your foot down on the foot controller or hit the start stop button, and it will just sew without having to press your foot down on the foot controller. It'll sew until you either hit the stop button, or if you've chosen for it to end at the end of the design, it will stop automatically. And you can see that it's feeding sideways there and forward and back. Pretty neat feature. These designs are all editable as well, so you can create your own designs. And once it's done the leaves, it'll go and start over the pattern again on the flower. So here it's doing the second iteration of the pattern. So I'll just stop that there. Okay, and we can trim that. And there we have nice Maxi Art. So yeah, really nice little feature. There's another feature that is called Stitch Technologies, and I'll show you that in the manual just briefly. I don't, as I say, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. Let's have a look at the manual here. And speaking of the manual, it's a very nice little manual. I like it because it's color coded here, and so you've got your different sections with your different color codings here. So, and very well laid out, very nicely, you know, it's very nice color pictures, nice diagrams, and you're very easy to follow. Yeah, so just quickly here, special sewing techniques. We've got stacking stitches here, so you can, so the white stitches is one type of pattern, and then you've got the black as a different type, so you can stack the stitches on top of each other like that. You've got single ribbon stitches for sewing ribbon. You've got twin or double ribbon stitches like that, and also triple ribbon stitches. Floating stitches is available on the 720 only, by the way, not the 710. floating stitches create a special effect where the connecting stitches are invisible. You know, it does, you get this sort of effect here. Pretty neat. So that's it for this one. Just an overview on what this machine's capable of. There's plenty more as well, but I've shown you, you know, the basics of the machine, really what it can do. There's a lot more you can do in here with the controls, and yeah, there's lots of settings that you can change, and to personalize the stitches and create your own stitches and all that sort of thing. So as I say, you know, this will be my main machine. This is going to be my daily driver as such. So I'll be using this as much as I can. I will miss my featherweight, I can tell you that. I'll miss my Alna SU. But as I say, I thought it was time to get into this century and yeah, have a decent machine that I can demonstrate and show off as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Keep an eye out for more videos. I'll do some more videos just on some more of these specific topics here with this machine. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much to my patrons on Patreon. Your support is greatly appreciated. And yeah, keep an eye out for more videos. Thanks a lot.